This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve.
Off-Road Podcast, episode 356. How to pick a campsite.
Tonight, Aaron rides a log, Ben discovers he's a hoarder, and Jeremy, well, he just didn't do anything.
Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. Your hosts tonight are Jeremy, and my name's Ben, and welcome to the show. Yeah, because no Aaron. Screw that guy.
The Weekend Review is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to have a casualty on the trail? Check out medicalgearoutfitters.com to get straightened out. Medical Gear Outfitters has everything you need, whether you're going out for the day or traveling on a year-long expedition. Head over there to get off-road specific kits that meet all of your needs. And while you're there, make sure you use Off-Road Podcast for 10% off.
Well,
Yeah, Aaron's having too much fun in Disneyland right now.
yeah, he sent me a picture.
Yeah, I don't want to know what he's trying to do there.
If you look closely in his hand, he's
I know.
drinking Dr. Pepper.
I know what it is.
So yeah. Well, I'm saying for the audio listeners.
Yeah.
So yeah, Aaron's off at Disneyland having fun, and we're here doing life. So since we're talking about life, Jeremy, what's up?
Well, I mean, I kind of said it all in the intro there. I haven't done anything in the off-roading world all week. It's actually been a while. I need to get out and go do something, but life's been pretty busy and hectic. So
Yeah,
unfortunately that happens.
I haven't even driven my 4Runner. I hooked it up to the trailer and I moved it across the yard, and well, I replaced it with this. I've got a giant Ford in my yard. For the listeners, that's a 20 dumpster. So yeah, I've been cleaning, sorting. I have a whole bucket of tools, and now there's a strange man in a bathing suit in our feed.
Sorry, I was muting him because his audio was bad.
My audio's probably really bad because I'm in a hot tub.
Yeah. Oh, that's what that swirling noise was that I was hearing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's
I
got
can
the
hardly hear anything. For some reason, it doesn't broadcast the sound. So.
looks
Anyway.
Well, it sounds like we just need to kick him out then.
This is a typical campsite for us overlanders.
The Disneyland campsite?
Yes, Disneyland campsite. Did you share my picture?
Yes, I shared your picture.
You want me to reenact it real quick?
No, that's okay.
All right, I'll tell you all about my overlanding in California next week.
All right.
Sounds good.
Peace out, guys.
Take care.
So yeah, I've been cleaning. So yeah, I have like a whole bucket of tools. I found like 3 10mm sockets. So I'm on my path to winning right now.
Yeah, 3 10mm, huh?
Yeah.
Did you really, or are you just making a joke there?
No, seriously, I have. I'm like, oh, there's that one. Oh, there's that one.
Well, this just it. Ben's been stealing 10mm from everybody.
Oh no, I've got like 7 tool sets, so I'm just trying to get them all back together. So
yeah, it's good to have a clean garage.
Yep, that's the goal. I'm working on clean garage, clean shed, clean backyard, and then we're putting in a shop. So things have to go in a certain order or they don't get done. So I got a rollback dumpster because I figure half the stuff I haven't touched for 5 or more years. So if it's not been used or doesn't have a place, it goes in the dumpster. So
how wasteful of you.
Yeah, well,
could have given it away for free or sold it, or
you know how
throw it
hard
in the dumpster.
Donate stuff right now.
Instead, you just throw it in a dumpster.
Yep, way easier. So yeah.
So did you throw your 4Runner in that dumpster too?
I tried to park it in there, it wouldn't fit. So I was literally gonna park it in there as a
Sawzall would fix that.
yeah. Well, there's a few things that are gonna get the Sawzall. So.
We'll just cut it. We'll just cut it in half right down the middle. Then you fit both sides in it. Good luck. Why good luck?
Because
I was gonna say, is that a challenge? Can I come over and just do it?
well, you can try.
I will bring a lot of Sawzall blades if you give me the okay to cut through your 4Runner if I can.
No permission. Sorry.
Okay, then it sounds like, Ben, you're going on an all expenses paid trip to somewhere special. It's not going to be that special. It's going to be the cheapest place I can find.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month.
Look, it's an XJ. No. So here's July's Patch of the Month we've got coming up here. Very patriotic as always. Or wait, no, this is June's. I'm sorry. This is June's aimed towards the 4th of July. They always do it kind of the month before. That way you get your
Everybody has it.
Everybody has it. So yeah. And then we showed last week. This is the prototype patch for the Off-Road Podcast Lumen Locker patch. And we have confirmed that it will be glow in the dark.
Oh boy.
Yep. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And all the patches they do. It's nice to actually do a patch with them for us. It's only been what, 5?
It's been a while.
So yeah, we've been with Patriot Patch from the beginning, so got to support them.
Yeah, and I agree, Eric. The clearance is terrible with that rocket, but I feel like if you need to get over an obstacle, you just shoot that rocket at it, blow it up, and then go on through.
Yep, or just fly over it.
Or just shoot it at Ben and then go over the obstacle.
Yeah, that'll do.
Okay, maybe not Ben, just his 4Runner.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing I got a fire extinguisher too, right?
I don't know if that's going to help, but okay.
Have tire troubles ever left you deflated? Colby Valve has got you covered. Ever have a valve stem leak? Colby Valve makes reusable and easily replaceable valve stems that don't require you to remove your tire from the wheel. They work with your off-road rig, ATV, side-by-side, commuter vehicle, or even your tractor. Never be left stranded again because of a busted valve stem. They also have a tire repair kit for those punctures that keep you away from doing your favorite thing, wheeling. Make sure to check out colbyvalve.com or ask for them at your local off-road products store.
So I have an idea for that video. You have your kids videotape you doing install.
How about I just put it on a tripod and say my kids did it?
Yeah, I did mine with a phone. So
yeah,
a phone and a 5-year-old, and he's now 10. So time flies.
And it probably wouldn't look any better if you tried to do it again today.
Yep. But yeah, gotta love the Colby valves. Well,
but first I got to run around and ask everybody if I can slash their valve stem.
Please do.
Yeah, everybody I meet, just like Ben did.
We've got my trailer, and no one took me up on that. I just had to go slash my mom's one day.
Wow, you're a terrible son.
It was no, I didn't. I was like, "Oh, do you have a Colby valve in your kit, Mom?" She's like, "No. What's it for?" I was like, "Here, let me show you." And I just grabbed my knife and go cut it. It was great.
From that day forward, her TPMS has never worked again.
Oh no, it's a 95 YJ. TPMS wasn't a thing right back then.
And since that day, her tire's been off balance ever since.
Probably. No, she's got new tires now. She's got some Patagucci's. Yep. Wonder why. Might be me. Well, our first article here is from Autoblog, and you might need a tetanus shot. You might not. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but they are bringing back the Scout. Volkswagen owns the Scout name, and and so Volkswagen actually confirmed the rumor. It's going to be used as a pair of electric off-roaders, and I imagine they mean that by a Scout 1 and a Scout, or the Scout and then the Scout 2 is what they mean by that.
I just
So-
hope they don't ruin it.
You mean like the Bronco and Bronco 2?
No, I mean like what was the Chevy one that they did recently after the new
Chevy
Bronco?
Blazer, Trailblazer?
Yeah, the Blazer.
Yeah. So
They're gonna ruin it. I already know they're gonna ruin it.
Czech Republic-based Skoda has used it to demo as a more rugged four-wheel driving version of their Octavia, which is another Volkswagen-owned company. If I read the article right, since 2006. There's not much more details other than that we're going to see the return of the Scout. And it's probably going to be like the van that we've been sitting here. If you're a Volkswagen bus fan, been waiting for the last 5-10 years for them to come out with the electric one. They keep teasing, and I don't know. It'll probably be just as great as their diesel cars that they had here that all got recalled. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I've got hope because they're really working with some good people out there. So maybe we'll see something. Maybe they'll listen to people that off-road and be like, hey, here's some features that you need and should have.
Yeah,
Probably not.
I have very low hopes that it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this next story, and we hit it a little bit on the tip of the nose with the Trailblazer, but GM has more of its users going off-road, and this is from the GMauthority.com. I found this article and I was just like, interesting. So it says that 19% of their light truck owners use their vehicle off-road. They're owning that success to the AT4 sub-brands, which is funny because those are like their 1500s and all that. I don't think the Colorados fall under that category on purpose. Yeah. So yeah, but they're saying owners with the off-road packages are roughly 3 times more likely to use those activities for camping and carrying outdoor sports gear. Customers aren't necessarily looking for the hardcore off-roader like a Jeep or Wrangler or Ford Bronco, and that's why they bought a Chevy. But but customers who say they use their vehicle off-road, 67% of them are more for the convenience of on-road comfort, were also important. So I don't know. It was an interesting article. It's like, oh yeah, I bought this off-road package to go off-road. And are you actually?
Yeah.
But it's kind of a trend we've been seeing more and more is they're like with overlanding becoming this whole big thing and all that. We're seeing more people entering the outdoors, especially with COVID and all that. It kind of drove a lot more people to use the outdoors more locally and leave their dirty toilet paper on the ground. So hopefully they get taught better, and it creates more places for us to enjoy the outdoors.
Here's a pitch. All new overland vehicles should be sold with a toilet.
They should.
Yeah.
That would actually be pretty handy.
Wow. It would definitely cut back on all the toilet paper you see out there.
Yes. Yeah. Nobody likes your little toilet paper butterflies.
No, nobody does. Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
I'm surprised it's 19%. But I have a feeling that 19% of people feel like they do off-roading. Yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that. And anytime you get off-road is good, but
Yeah. Well, and they're saying like 22% of the people that buy the vehicles are looking for that off rugged looking vehicle. And I dealt with that working at the shop. It was, they're never going to hit the dirt, but they want an aggressive tire. And so they're like, I want this mud terrain tire. And then they come back complaining that it's loud. I'm like, well, I tried to tell you to at least go with an all terrain. So
you mean that's the people that go with a 33-inch tire wrapped on a 20-inch rim.
Yes, same people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you'll get more comfort if you have a smaller rim, but sidewall flex. I don't know anything though.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Well, as you guessed from the subject of the episode, how to pick a campsite, that's what we're covering tonight. And I don't know if we consider Jeremy and I subject matter experts because of how we find campsites. Screw it, we're camping right here.
That's what it often feels like.
Yeah, every time we go out together, right? If we're camping. That was
Yep.
what Wobder and a couple of the snow trips. Okay, this will work. This
Yes.
is just to do.
And that's the last resort. I mean, you got to find a place to sleep.
So we're gonna take this the smart way around instead of using that method. Well, but we'll even cover what you should be looking for during that method. But let's kind of talk about how we find those spots. So Jeremy, do you want to lead us off, or should I lead us off?
Sure. I mean, if this, so just kicking it off, I mean, if this is an area that you go pretty regularly, the best way to find campsites to camp at next time is just by scouting them out. Just driving around, pulling into every spot you can find, and just seeing how that spot looks and kind of what it would be good for.
I'm actually planning on doing that at the end of this month with my dad. We're gonna go out and we're gonna pick some spots to go and check out for camp spots. Because we're going Father's Day weekend, and that could be it's after Memorial Day, so more people are outside because apparently camping seasonal.
Well, don't forget that that's a holiday weekend this year for Juneteenth, so
Yeah, so
there might be even more people out.
I'll just scare them with my redneckness.
Another good way to do it is by either looking at paper maps or looking at satellite image, Google Maps or or Google Earth, and just kind of looking at it and seeing if you think that it's going to be a good spot. You kind of start to get a somewhat of a gut feeling on things after you've looked at enough of them and gone and actually looked at them in person. You can kind of start to pick out what actually makes a good campsite, and your success rate starts to go up a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely a good precursor before you're out scouting them out. It really helps. Be like, okay, I've got this many people, or it's just me. How big of a spot do I need? Where do I want to play? That type of thing. It helps.
Yeah. I think my least favorite ways are next, but why don't you cover those?
Spots. Yeah, so you'll see a lot of those out there as geotag spots, and they're not necessarily a bad thing in the sense of camping spots, but where they become a bad thing is they're popular and overused, and as Aaron and I are very familiar with, abused, extremely abused. One of his favorite camping spots is his son calls it the trash camp, and had people not been destroying it, it'd be absolutely gorgeous spot with owls with bronchitis there though.
Yeah, I mean, we've found a lot of those spots over the years. One of the most recent ones, we went camping up in the Olympics, and there's kind of it's a pretty well-known river area where there's kind of four campsites right on the river in a very close proximity. And just like barely off the campsite, there was just a pile of, used toilet paper and stuff like that. So it's usually a little bit better if you can find your way out to where nobody is. and that makes things a little bit better. The ironic thing is there's literally like a hiking trailhead like 100 yards away with a pit toilet. And so I just don't understand people sometimes, but
it could be. I don't know if this was around COVID. The pit toilet might have been locked because the government decided that you're not safe going to the bathroom in a pit toilet in the middle of the woods. So
but still just
burying
clean
it
up after yourself.
Yeah, no. You should always
Yeah.
clean up
In
after
some
yourself.
way or shape or form. Yeah. Yep.
iOverlander app. I haven't used this one at all. I've tried once before. It was a long time ago, and I believe they have got like a bunch of recommended camping spots that other people say, hey, this is a good spot. Kind of falls under that geotag spot, but it kind of will vary. This next one's asking in Facebook groups for areas you're interested in, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. Again, that's one of those I would suggest going and tracking them out.
You're going to get a lot of hate.
Gonna get a lot of hate. It kind of falls under that whole geotagging thing. People don't want to share their secret spots. People don't want their secret spots ruined.
Yeah. And now we're kind of getting into ones that are a little bit slightly better. The first one is look for some books. So some books, they have some camping books where they give you a lot of free campsites. I know Aaron has one that he really likes.
I've got one as well.
And that's a little bit better because, now that everybody has the internet, nobody seems to read books anymore. So some of those sites have kind of become, I guess undiscovered, I would say, but not really undiscovered, just undiscovered by the internet crowd. So they are kind of a little bit more niche, not niche, but just they're a little bit more secretive, less known. Yeah. And then this last one's a good one. Just ask your buddies that you off road with. Usually they'll be fine giving up a campsite to a buddy. They just normally say, "Well, don't tell anybody about this one, but here you go."
Yeah, and the big thing with that is, especially if you're traveling out of state and you've got friends in those other states, that those are the people to ask. Is a local. So
Yep. Absolutely.
So our next thing's talking about location, and some of you might not know this, but mountains get colder, and they stay cooler in the summer. But there's a big con with that is some of the wind you get up there. The higher you get up, where the trees get thinner, you get really windy, and it's not as fun.
Yeah, and you also have to think about snow in the wintertime.
Or in the spring, even.
Or in the springtime, or in the fall.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not prepared to be in the snow, you definitely have to, just because it's 90 degrees at your house doesn't mean that it's going to be 90 degrees where you're camping at night.
Yeah. Rivers, they're definitely cooler in the summer. They can be loud, and they can also be very popular. So get there early. Don't try. I generally suggest not trying to go find that cool river camping spot on a Saturday. You might get lucky, or you might get very unlucky.
Yeah, we actually pulled up we were doing a trip through Idaho, and we found a really awesome river campsite, and we kind of parked, set up camp, got everything ready to go, and then my wife and I were sitting there in our chairs, just watching the river go by, and then it was like you could kind of start feeling your ears start to hurt a little bit. It's like, I think this spot's too loud. And so we actually ended up having to move sites that day. Just because it just seemed like it was just a little bit too loud. Like, yeah, it was just uncomfortably loud.
Too much white noise for you?
Yeah. So you got to be careful about that with some of the river spots, especially in the mountains. Just because if there's, any sort of waterfall type stuff, you could maybe be a little bit too loud to be comfortable, but.
Yep. The next spot here is the desert, and that's one of those ones where there's no shade. There's some great stars, some amazing stars, but one of the problems when you're in like the desert or a plateau is the wind. We were talking about that with I think it was Coy and Nathan when we did our Nevada trip. They were talking about camping out on the playa and people just flying through there in the middle of the night. So you also got to kind of keep some lights around your camp, so you don't have people driving through your tent in the middle of the night.
Woof, that would be terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Desert camping is, or plains or whatever you want to call it, is kind of some of the camping that I haven't done as much of that I would like to do more of, I think. I mean, kind of the only big trip that we did one on was that Christmas Valley trip is pretty much the only one I can think of. But even then we were kind of in a little patch of trees.
Yeah. Aaron's making fun of you for the sound of the river.
It was too loud, Aaron. And I don't know anything about wetting your bed because of the sound of the river. So we'll have to ask you about that story when you come back on next week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and there's the high desert, which is definitely gonna be not as popular. And Oregon has some amazing high desert views. So and forest. You're definitely protected from the wind. You've got lots of trees. You're gonna have some problems with deadfalls, bugs. Lots of bugs generally in the forest. Stuff like mosquitoes. But it's all good with that. So yeah. Another spot is by the ocean, but there's not much ocean side camping, and that's a little bit different. So let's talk about your setup. What do you need? You definitely do you need it to be flat?
I mean, most of the time. Now, define flat.
Yeah, and that is kind of the thing. Do you if you're in a rooftop tent, your vehicle just needs to be level, not so as bad. Jeremy, I think your microphone's on your computer mic. If you're in
You're
a
just
ground,
figuring this out now?
I am just figuring this out now.
Son of a gun. You're right.
So
How's that? Is that better?
yeah, it's better. You're a little quieter, but it's better. You've got your ground tents, which you definitely do want it flatter. You've got to watch out for rocks and all that fun stuff on the ground. So you guys sweep up the ground around your tent. If you're snow camping, you've got to be kind of get an idea of what's underneath you. You got to flatten it out. A hammock, you definitely need some trees in between you, or some ways to tie it off, unless you're really cool and you've got one of those hammock hitch mounted setups, which I've always wanted to try.
Seems like just too big. But kind of another thing to think about when, and this is kind of more specific to rooftop tents, but if you're going, especially if you're kind of going on a long trip, you might have to give up on a really awesome campsite if you have a rooftop tent, because maybe you can't get your vehicle down into. So we were out camping in the Olympic Mountains one time, and this was when we had the rooftop tent, but I think we had just brought a ground tent just in case. And we ended up finding this really awesome river spot with a really cool. It was kind of had its own little offshoot little pool on the river, and it was nice and deep for swimming. And then it also had a really awesome fire ring that had been built up to like probably about 3 feet tall, with rock. So it was just a really awesome site, but you had to walk down in there. So we couldn't take the rooftop. We couldn't sleep in the rooftop tent.
So thankfully we had that ground tent, or maybe we just had hammocks. I can't remember which, but we ended up just hiking in and camping there for the night. So the rooftop tents are really comfortable, but sometimes you're going to run into some limitations, and you might have to pass up on a really good spot just because you can't get it down in there.
Yeah. Oh, and we ran across the problem for a ground tent with that when we were up on um what's that called? On the backcountry discovery route where we camped the first night.
God, I'm spacing on the name now.
Bethel Ridge. So, what the spot with like the amazing view in Bethel Ridge, the problem with it is there's like giant rocks there covering the ground. It's just all really hard rock, and there's no way that would be comfortable to sleep on.
All I'm hearing is you held me back, man.
Yeah, I held you back a lot. Jumped my truck, blew a tire, all for you, buddy. So yeah, and then same thing can be done with hammocks. Is there's no trees around, so you can't throw up a hammock. You might be able to throw one between two rigs with roof racks, but it kind of varies. And then one of the last problems is how big of a group you have. If you have too big of a group, you're not going to be able to fit in that spot. And if you've got a small group, you might have other people coming running in and getting close to your camp spot where you're not comfortable with that.
Yeah, and that's also the problem with having too nice of a location, is you might have that problem as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you've got two different styles of camping nowadays. You've got the numbered campsites. They can sometimes be reserved a year in advance.
And for
And
the
you've
more
got
popular ones, you definitely want to try to reserve them as early as possible.
Yeah, there's what is it, Lake Diablo here in Washington. It's up north. That spot's one of those lakes. It reserves out like a year in advance.
Yeah.
It's really nice camping, a beautiful lake, but you ain't gonna get out. You're gonna have a hard time getting there.
So in that numbered campsite, would you consider like camping up at a fire lookout, a numbered campsite? I probably would include it.
Yes, no, you because some of those it depends. So like you've got some fire lookouts here in Washington, some decommissioned ones that are still open to the public that you can camp in. But they're not reserved. I would consider that.
Were reserved.
There's a few around here that you actually have to hike up to. They're not reserved. But you have to.
The only ones I'm thinking of are the ones that are drive-in.
Oh yeah, and those probably are reserved or for first come first serve. But and that kind of brings us on to that other one is the dispersed camping, which I'm always a fan of. That's my favorite kind of camping. I do like numbered campsites because there's a lot more stuff for my kids. But when it comes to me and my preferences, I prefer dispersed because you guys can go bang rocks together, you little crotch goblins.
Also, you don't have to with other people.
Yeah, you definitely you can get out there far enough. You don't have to pay for it. You can get out there. It's free. It's you don't have you can be away from other campers. And but
also,
go ahead.
If you look in the off season, some campgrounds stay open, but they don't have any services. But they're also free at that point, and there usually are almost nobody there.
Yeah. And there's been some times we've the Nevada trip we used a number-ish campsite and they had a heated not heated geothermally warmed pond to swim in. So I mean there's some pros to stuff like that.
Yeah, there can be pros, and not like with our Christmas Valley trip, we also stayed at a numbered campsite, and it wasn't so bad. Although we took up like more than half the campground, but still.
Hey, that's how it works sometimes, right?
Get a big enough group.
Yep. And then you do have to observe some dispersed camping rules when you're out there camping. Obviously, you don't want to be leaving your trash. Well, any of these camping spots, you don't want to be leaving your trash. That should be a given. If there's toilets available, use them. If not, depending upon where you are, you either have to pack it out or bury it. It depends upon what the rules are for the area.
The
And
pack
camping,
houses are pretty rare.
there's a few spots. It's mostly like national park, state park style stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think here. Camping is free on BLM land. Do remember that. That's always a great source to be researching.
Just make sure you have your forest passes and stuff.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever your state or local forest requires.
Yeah, and there'll be stuff like you have to stay, like Aaron just actually said here, is you guys stay a certain distance from the road as well. You can't be parked in the middle of the road camping. You actually have to park off to the off to the side.
Well, he means you can't go certain distance off the road, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, there's a handful of things involved with that.
Yep.
So yeah, should we talk about some of these awesome amenities that you might find?
Yeah. I mean, sure. You missed one in there. So the
What-
first one, I think the one that I'm kind of the most interested in the campsite is a view.
Oh yes, a good
Whether or
view.
not it be a view of, like an overlook or a nice view of the river or whatever it is. Views are kind of one of the top thing for me.
Well, and it really does make the campsite. I mean, like our snow camping trip. The first year we went out, Aaron, you and I, as a group.
Aaron?
Yeah, the first year we did the camping site, Aaron, you and I,
Oh.
when we camped by the river,
Yeah.
like that was a lot nicer view than the other spots we've been up to.
Mhm.
But the view kind of makes it and kind of adds to the ambiance of the area. Being a nice open area, an open space is always nice. Gives you a lot more room for activities.
Yep.
Having some trees around, I love having trees around. Be it just to hang something off of, give me a little extra shade. Though I have had the problem of having too many trees and not enough open space to where I couldn't use my solar charger. It's kind of it kind of sucks when your fan runs out of battery on a 90-degree night. So but having water to play in is definitely a big plus.
Yeah, although it can be a negative too. The first time we tried to go camping with our 2-year-old, we were setting up camp, and she's probably like one and a half or something at the time, but she almost immediately went and face planted into the river, and then she got really wet. So just be aware, water and kids don't always mix.
Yeah, that's why your kids need leashes. People put the crotch goblins on leashes.
No, you don't need to do that.
No. So that's actually something we do. It aren't actually something to talk about here is activities for kids. Is when we go camping, I've got a bunch of FRS radios. I give them to the kids to kind of keep an eye on them. That way they can range a little bit, and then they don't go as close to the water if they can go in the woods a little more. If you're camped out by the river. We camp by one of the spots we camp out lake on one of the lakes. There's like a lake bed with big river rocks in it where the river gets bigger during the summer. Actually, we got flooded out one year. There's like a secondary river that goes into it. It's a lot smaller, a lot slower, so the kids can go splash in it because it's only about 6 inches to a foot deep right there, and therefore it's like not as bad. And my kids are also older, so if they get wet, they can change their own clothes.
Can they?
Not very well. Teddy's constantly putting his pants on backwards. So yeah. So, should we talk about the tips for finding the best spots?
Yeah, I mean, kind of the number one especially for an area you haven't been to before is when you're looking on like Google Maps or paper maps, pick out way more than you ever think you're gonna need because chances are most of them aren't gonna pan out. They might look good on a map, and then you get out there, and then there's absolutely no way that's gonna work for camping.
Or somebody's there.
Or somebody's there. Yeah. Um, when you're or the area is completely trashed or whatever. Um, when you're driving around looking for campsites, slow down because you might miss something. I know I've probably missed a lot of campsites by going too fast. So just make sure you're slowing down and you're looking everywhere. And kind of going along with the looking everywhere. Make sure you're going down every side road that you think there might be a decent campsite on. So you're going to get shut out a lot, but it's much better to find that gem than it is to not find the gem. So kind of what I'm thinking about is on our Wobner trip when we kind of met up with that group and we ended up camping kind of with them. And then in the morning you were kind of walking around and you found a really good campsite just like probably 200 yards away up that hill. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that would have been a really good spot to camp
Yeah,
next time because we've still got to finish it
we do eventually.
one of these days. You can bring
Yeah.
yourself.
When it's crowded out there, you might want to take the roads that are less traversed. So maybe you want to go down that road that's severely overgrown because chances are not a lot of people want to go down that road, especially if they care about their paint job.
Well, and that was actually how we in Nevada when we were at in the Steens Mountain Loop, there was a spot we were going to camp at, like this paid camping spot, and it would have been with as many vehicles as we had because we were meeting up with Nathan. I want to say there was like 6 or 8 vehicles. Instead of camping there, we went and explored around a little bit, and I believe it's Coy's and Aaron's wife found another spot, and it was down by a little creek, nice and open, good spot to camp, and it was free.
Yeah.
And it fit all of us. So don't be afraid to hit those side roads. Really don't be afraid. You don't have to settle for camp. Screw it. I'm camping here. You can just explore a little. Though, I mean, sometimes you have to settle, especially if it's getting dark.
Yeah, which kind of leads us to our next point. Be flexible. Even if that means you're stopping a little bit early or driving a little extra late. So my wife and I were on a trip one time, and to her, having a really nice campsite is kind of 98% of going out and camping. You know, that's the type of thing she really likes. And there was one day where we didn't have huge mileage goals or anything like that, and I think we stopped by like 10 a.m.
Nice.
We had to really start the next that morning, and we found a really awesome campsite right on a river, and we just decided, well, this spot's amazing. Let's go ahead and camp here for the night, and that was that. We spent the whole day at just piddling around camp.
Yep. Aaron brings up a really good point with the paid camping spot is don't forget to bring some cash and small bills to pay for a site if necessary, because they don't give you change most of the time, especially if it's you pay by your self-service camping spots. You don't want to be caught camping illegally and get fined.
Or pay
So
$100 because that's the only bill you have.
or paying $100 because that's all you have. So keep a small wad of some small dollar bills, and most of those sites are under $30. So have like $30 in small bills, and you should be good.
Indeed.
To mark up on a map sites you have found. this is where Gaia really comes in handy. Any camping spot I go to, I mark it, and when I mark that I've been here and I camped here, and then I kind of will go back if I'm going to be camping in that area, and I'll be like, oh, I camped there, and this is when it was. If I don't exactly remember when I was there, and I'm like, oh, I camped there then, and I had a really good time, or oh nope, that was a garbage camp. Don't want to go back there. Or hey, this is where an owl had bronchitis at, so I'm not sure I want to camp in that spot again.
And it's not even just the ones that you've camped in, but if you come across a really good campsite while you're driving, go ahead and mark it.
Oh, I've actually, and yeah, I've got a good chunk of those marked down up above Wilkeson near me from doing a search and rescue mission. We were out there looking for a guy, and I'm like, oh, this is a good spot. Oh, this is a good spot. This is a good spot. Doesn't look like someone's camped here recently, but this looks like a pretty decent spot. So I've got 8 or 9 spots marked out up there. So the next time I go up there to go camping, I know not to go camp by the lake with the ridge where the wind's blowing really hard and will blow in my tent and bend my awning, because that sucks. Be wary of the wind.
One more thing, if you're looking on Google Maps or on paper maps for nice river campsites and you're in pretty steep mountains, be wary of rivers that might end up being seasonal.
Oh yeah, definitely. Seasonal. If there's no winter runoff going on right then and there, it's going to be a dry lake bed or dry river bed, and you're not going to get that nice water that you want.
Yeah. Well, and this has bit my wife a lot of times when she's been looking for campsites for us. The be wary of any body of water that doesn't have a name.
Yeah.
Means it's seasonal, and also with a lot of those seasonal rivers, they're usually especially when they're in the mountains, there's not usually a spot where you can actually pull off on them, because it's usually on some sort of a shelf road.
Yeah.
Just kind of cutting underneath a shelf road.
And this is something that I've actually kind of dealt with, is flash floods in the desert. So like if you're near like a river spot in the desert, because there's shade, you do have to be wary of flash floods. And even if like you're camping on a riverbed like I have, there might not be rain where I'm camping at, but if there's some in the mountains, it's going to flood. I've got a picture on my phone that Pete sent me. We were camping at a spot and we got a flash flood warning, and then the wind came and we were like, okay, yep, let's bug out. He went back a week later and that spot was under 6 feet of water. So do be wary of that.
Indeed.
So yeah, I think that about wraps up this episode. It was kind of a short one compared to our long-winded other ones, but we also got through the start of the show pretty quick with just you doing nothing.
Yeah. But I mean, if you guys think we missed something, like write us in and let us know, and we'll bring it up on later episodes. If you think we missed some good tips that you want other people to hear, just shoot us a message and
yeah, listener feedback is rewarded. You do get stickers for listener feedback. So if we use it.
As Ben mentioned, we don't necessarily consider ourselves complete subject matter experts, but we try to share our experiences and just try to have a good conversation.
Yeah, you definitely can always learn something every day. And with that, thanks to everyone who listens to us weekly and those who watch us live on YouTube. We really do appreciate that. Our chat's been pretty good this week. Cannot complain at all. And share us with our friends. Help us grow. Your friends, not our friends. Our friends already know about us. We share it so much with them. They're probably tired of it, but maybe they'll share it finally. And then your friends will share it too. And then we can grow and share more good things with other people. And God bless America. And have a good week.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren, Medical Gear Outfitters, and Colby Valve to see all their great gear. We're a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a comment or question? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.net or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe, and courteous. Thanks for listening.
All right, screw it.